Welcome back to This is Hollywood in 1994. Before we go right into this, let's go ahead and go through some fun facts on what happened this year. The internet was actually in its early stages, and Netscape Navigator was the first commercial web browser 2 years before Microsoft.
Well, Allison should know.
What is internet anyway?
Internet is that massive computer network, the one that's becoming really big now.
We had floppy disks, fax machines, dial-up, and cassettes. The top baby names was Jessica and Michael. The first PlayStation was actually invented, but wasn't released in the US until 1995. The number one game was Donkey Kong Country. Bill Clinton was the president for the United States. The Houston Rockets won the NBA championship.
The Houston Rockets are the 1993-94 NBA champions.
Dallas Cowboys won the Super Bowl again.
And the Cowboys again were crowned world champions.
2 in a row.
Baseball was actually on strike, so no World Series. The New York Rangers won the Stanley Cup.
The waiting is over. The New York Rangers are the Stanley Cup champions.
O.J. Simpson was in the news on a high-speed chase, then later on trial for his ex-wife murder. We all know what happened after that. Glove didn't fit. The first ever online purchase was pizza from Pizza Hut. Ace of Base, I Saw the Sign, was the number one song in 1994. We had other hits like I Swear from All for One, Boys to Men, I'll Make Love to You, Ladies Were Bringing the Heat with Hero from Mariah Carey, and Breathe Again from Toni Braxton. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers premiered on Fox Kids Network this year, and Seinfeld was the number one show in 1994. And man, we had some great memories.
You know what it's like in there. All night long, things are creaking and cracking, and that red light is burning my brain.
You look a little stressed.
Oh, I'm stressed.
Hopefully you enjoyed the recap. So now let's get right into it. This is Hollywood in 1994. So let's go ahead and bring in the year and welcome the 66 Academy Awards. A visual effects winner was Jurassic Park with a huge year of being the number one movie of 1993. Tommy Lee Jones takes Best Supporting Actor for The Fugitive. Anna Paquin wins Best Supporting Actress in The Piano. Tom Hanks takes Best Actor for Philadelphia. And Steven Spielberg wins for Best Director and Best Picture for Schindler's List. And Holly Hunter takes Best Actress for The Piano. Now the top 5 actors for 1994, still number 1 was Wesley Snipes, number 2 was Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise takes number 3, Sylvester Stallone moves up the list and taking number 4, and then number 5 was Mel Gibson. Now let's get into the drama films, and we had some amazing ones in 1994. We start off with Shawshank Redemption. This film had Tim Robbins playing as Andy Dufresne, and was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms in prison for murders of his wife and her lover. So he had to be in a tough prison while knowing he didn't commit the crime. While being there, he developed a friendship with Red, who is played by Morgan Freeman. And now we move to the over-the-top, ultra-hip hitman named Vincent Vega and Jules Winfield, who are played by John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson in Pulp Fiction. Now, this film had insane moments and was actually voted as a top 100 film of all time, and it was directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Those who attempt to poison and destroy my brothers, and you will know my name is the Lord.
And now we go into the dark and gritty world, and that is The Crow. This film was truly iconic, from the look of the world, the design of the crow, to the brutal story from a man who was murdered to come back to life as an undead avenger for his fiance's murder. The Crow was played by Brandon Lee, who is the son of Bruce Lee, and unfortunately, Brandon did die on set from a firearm malfunction. Now, they were able to finish the film after the accident, and The Crow was a true classic. And he showed us how great Brandon Lee was as an actor, and it's too bad we couldn't see more from him.
I say don't move, Snow White. You move, you're dead.
And I say I'm dead. and I move.
And from the dark and gritty world, we move to this adventure, drama, comedy film from the legend Forrest Gump, who was played by Tom Hanks. His character had plenty of disadvantages, but was still able to accomplish major milestones, with being a college football star, to fighting in Vietnam, to finding the love of his life. Forrest Gump brings you the inspiration and showing you everything is possible. This film has so many memorable lines, from life is a box of chocolate to run Forrest.
Well, thought I'd try out my sea legs.
Well, you ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dane.
Yes, I know that.
And we had so many more drama films with Above the Rim, Natural Born Killers, and Leon. Now, getting away from the drama and going into comedy, 1994 was the coming out party for Jim Carrey. Comedy movies was Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey was comedy movies in 1994. He had 3 huge hits that year. The first one was Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. He plays a private investigator who specializes to finding and missing animals. And he happens to get into a case where the Miami Dolphins were missing, get this, a dolphin. So he goes through a wild goose chase trying to find who is the one to steal the dolphin.
Pet Dick, how would you like me to make your life a living hell?
Well, I'm not really ready for a relationship, Lois, but thank you for asking.
And yes, Finkel is Einhorn, Einhorn is Finkel. And now we move to his second smash hit, Dumb and Dumber, playing as Lloyd Christmas and teaming up with his best friend Harry, who is played by Jeff Daniels, and they stumbled across a suitcase that was left behind by the love of their life, Mary Swanson. And their sole purpose was to return this suitcase back to her, and they traveled across the country to Aspen, Colorado. Without knowing, they had money in the suitcase, and it was all connected to a kidnapping. And yes, this film was over the top, but it had some crazy funny moments.
They're numb.
Ooh. Maybe you should wear these extra gloves. My hands are starting to get sweaty.
Extra gloves?
Now, the last one was the best one that Jim Carrey had that year, and that was The Mask. It was the biggest film of the year, and he was playing the quiet, timid bank clerk Stanley Ipkiss, and discovers a mask that contains the spirit of the Norse god Loki. Now, this mask gives him unlimited powers at night, and he gets into a wild adventure with a local nightclub singer, played by Cameron Diaz, and dealing with a crime lord that he might have accidentally got them in trouble with the cops. So yeah, Jim Carrey turned into a huge superstar in 1994. Now, while Jim Carrey was taking over the genre, we still had other comedy classics like Junior, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. We had Naked Gun 33 1/3. We had The Blank Man, played by Damian Wayans. We had Clerks, Major League 2, and City Slickers 2. Now, the horror genre in 1994 wasn't the greatest, but they had a monsterverse. Well, kind of. We had Jack Nicholson playing a werewolf in the movie Wolf. We had Tom Cruise playing a vampire in Interview of the Vampire.
You've been a very, very naughty little girl.
And Robert De Niro as Frankenstein's monster. In 1994, the iconic, disfigured villain Freddy Krueger was back in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. The Leprechaun was back for part 2, and we had Chuck Norris versus the devil in The Hellbound, and so many more horror films. That's absolutely insane. So from Chuck Norris beating Satan, we're going right into the action films. And the first one we need to talk about, and it's one of my favorite cult classics, Street Fighter, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme. And yes, for a video game movie, this had one of the lowest tomato scores of all time, but it still had a special place in my heart. Now from Street Fighter, we go right into Keanu Reeves, showing the world that he was more than just a surfer slash guitar playing actor going to the past in a phone booth. He proved that he can be an action star in the fast-paced action in Speed, where he plays a police officer named Jack who goes against a retired Bomb Squad member, Howard Payne. And this is where their world collides and Jack was put on an insane task where he has to stop a bus from blowing up.
Pop quiz. You have a hair trigger aimed at your head. What do you do? What do you do?
Now from a bus flying in the air in Speed, we go into the spy thriller with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And this film was called True Lies, and it showed why Arnold was still on top in the action genre. Now here in this movie, he was playing a secret spy, but in his family's eyes, they thought he was just a boring salesman.
Sure. Here's my invitation.
Yeah, that worked good. Right out the old front gate.
Give me back a second.
And we had more action-packed movies in 1994, from the sci-fi thriller Stargate into Time Cop, Drop Zone, Double Dragon, and Beverly Hills Cop 3. Now, the family films in 1994 brought back so many memories, and they were so much fun. We had classic films like The Little Rascals.
You're scum between my toes. Love, alfalfa.
And then we go into The Gridiron with Little Giants, where a team of rejects start a football team to prove to the town that they can play and compete. And let's go back in time and visit our prehistoric family, the Flintstones. Now from dinosaurs, we go into the #1 holiday movie in 1994, and that was Santa Claus starring Tim Allen, where he accidentally kills Santa Claus and he has to put on the coat and the white beard. And Disney wasn't done yet. They gave us the best animated film of all time with The Lion King. We had an amazing cast with Jonathan Taylor Thomas, James Earl Jones, Jeremy Irons, Whoopi Goldberg. They brought us some memorable songs like Circle of Life, I Just Can't Wait to Be King, and Hakuna Matata. And don't get it twisted, guys, even though this is an animated kids movie, it had some drama. You saw Scar betraying his brother Mufasa. You see the journey of Simba going from a runaway cub to the king that he needs to be for Pride Rock. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Hollywood in 1994, and it brought us so many tears, laughter, jump scares, and heartwarming moments. So before you go, I gotta ask you one question. Was 1994 the best year for Hollywood? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll catch you on the next one, and we'll see what the next year brings us for Hollywood.